Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jen, and this is Robin with Hungry for More. And we are here to talk to you about something near and dear to us. And it may sound familiar to you. I always say that, but I think most everything always sounds familiar to all of us. So today we want to talk about some limiting beliefs that we have that may be causing us to slow down our progress, and some of that is, I'm looking here at my notes, like for me in the past, because I did so many different types of diets and I would always lose the weight and then I would always gain the weight back. There was always this belief that whatever I was doing wasn't going to stick and it wasn't going to last. Like I do so good and then I can never trust myself to be in this situation and I always fall apart in this situation. Or whatever roadblock that is comes up and it kind of would throw me for a loop. And this limiting belief would come in and be like, gosh, you always mess up when that happens. What are some other limiting beliefs, Robin, that we run into for that really prohibit people's success with what they're doing?
Yeah, we develop a lot through the years, like you said, from, the cycles of these failures that we have. And we've heard people say, I'm so stupid. I can't figure this out. Or I never follow through. I'm just really undisciplined when it comes to food. Or I always give in. When I'm around this certain food, good night. Like there's no way I can resist. So we develop and we need to be aware of how we think and how we're thinking, because this is the way the brain works. Whenever you are making a change, whenever you're doing something new, your brain is wanting to go to the files in the brain from the past to dictate how that's going to work. Right. And that's when we're like,
Right.
oh, yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
when you're saying something like, oh, I'm always doing really, really well until this is put in front of me and then
Mhm.
I don't, it's
Mhm.
almost like you're telling your brain, do good. But when this is put in front of you, take it, do it. Don't even think about
Right.
it. Don't be conscious. I was thinking of another one I heard. I do really good. And then the weekend hits and it's all over.
Right. So even if you're making these changes and you're really excited and you're motivated and you're feeling confident, like maybe this will be the one, if you haven't cleaned up these mindsets some of these that we just shared with you, they're going to sabotage you along the way, no matter how excited you are and how motivated you are in this moment with this. And so these are things, as we know that a new year has rolled over. We know many of you are extra focused and motivated right now on making changes to better yourself and be healthier. We are totally in support of that. And we want you to pay attention to these things. There's a very important mind shift perspectives you need to make and heal. To be honest, a lot of these past ideas and judgments are very painful. They're very judgmental towards us, and we don't even realize it. Right. But when we can take a look at them and notice them as they come up, then we can redirect them, we can heal them, we can correct them so that they aren't governing how we behave here in this new territory that we're in and that we're trying with these changes we're trying to make. So there is, I think, especially when you're our age, if you're listening and you're in your 40s and plus, you have likely been doing this for quite some time, probably, mid 20s after having babies or whatever. And there have been a lot of judgments you've made about yourself along the way that are really quite hurtful that you might not really be aware of. And they will carry over with you. Again, your brain is going to go to the past to be like, well, what's our chances of being successful at this? And your brain's going to be like, well, you're too addicted to sugar. You love food too much. It's
Yeah.
probably not going to work.
And you may not even notice them.
No,
They're
no,
so natural to you.
right. They truly are. Or you think that literally is the truth of who you are. And you're just trying to see if this will work with that, or if you can somehow still have enough willpower to get through. And it's really less about the willpower and just really recognizing, how do I think of myself? Do I even see myself as someone who's deserving and who's capable of being successful at this? And most people, when we take a look at that and we say, do you even believe that you can do this? They'll admit, no, I like your philosophy and I really think that you can help me. But at this moment, I really don't even believe that I'm going to follow through with your program, because
Right.
they come already. So again, so much in that belief. They've done things over and over. They haven't, it hasn't stuck. And so there's all sorts of judgments of ourselves that come with that. So it's very, very important to forgive those things and to take a look at them and be aware what's coming up.
Right. Absolutely. So if people find themselves in this rut, and I think everybody has these limiting beliefs every so
For
often,
sure.
it's easier I find that I still have them occasionally, but it's easier to recognize them and
Mm-hmm.
for what it is, really.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, well, that is a limiting belief. And no, I definitely can do this.
Mhm.
And I mean, what would you say is the first place that we need to start? Because everybody's going, well, yeah, I do that all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
I
So
was
what do you
just with
do?
my family this last weekend. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm being so bad. The way I'm eating is so bad. When we're with family, we're so bad. That's what they would say. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, it's hurting my ears. I'm like, stop giving moral labels. But what would you say is the first place that someone would start if they notice they're having these limiting beliefs, or maybe don't notice them yet?
Yeah. Well, so first of all, let's start with that. If you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I'm not really sure I have them, this is where you want to start, is asking yourself, do I believe that I can lose the weight and live a healthy lifestyle? Do I even believe that I'm capable of that? And if there's objections that come up, those objections are not facts. They're not like, well, no, but it's because of the fact that I'm too addicted to sugar and food. And so that's not a limiting belief. It's just a fact I have to work with. No, everything that comes up when you ask that question is going to be a limiting belief. Okay. So doing the check-in with yourself of saying, what do I really believe about my ability to follow through with this that I'm doing right now? And then addressing those things that come up. So one that's very popular during these times when we are committed to making changes that comes up is just like, I just don't believe that I'll be able to do this. I don't think I can. We try and we're maybe motivated right now, but there is this belief in there kind of nagging at you that's like, why bother? It's going to be like everything else you've done.
Just going to
You're
be starting
going,
over again.
yep, it's going to be like everything else. You're going to fail at this and you're going to be worse off and you're going to gain it all back. When you notice the thought coming up like that, whether it's in real time or you're reflecting back and realizing that it does exist in you, that is when you need to bring your conscious mind to it. You need to see it and hear it, but then you need to replace that. You need to understand that it's those very thoughts that sabotage you. They're not protecting you from failing.
Right.
They're not going to help you. So even asking like, is it useful? When your brain's like, why are you bothering? We all know you're not going to follow through. That's be like, okay, but is that useful for me to think this way? No. Okay, well, then you're going to have to offer yourself something different. The way I would approach it and have approached it when I've had the same beliefs is when it comes up, I'll be like, yeah, that feels really true. And I have a lot of evidence that I haven't followed through on diets in the past, but it hurts me. It hurts my feelings when I say this to myself. So I'm going to stop. It hurts me. So I'm going to stop. And then you just need to point it to something that's more useful, that's going to help you. And the trick with that is you do have to have some sort of belief in it. You can't be like, oh no, this time I'm going to be perfect and I'm not going to mess up once and I'm going to land there. Just watch me. As you say it, you know, you don't believe it. Right. So the important thing is to point your mind to a better, more productive thought that you do at least agree with, or that you're like, yeah, I can believe that about myself. So it's like, nope, stop telling myself that I never follow through and that I'm not going to be able to do this. Why bother? That does not help me with this goal I have. It will not take me there. Stop. And then point it to that thought of like, I am going to do this differently. And I'm going to do this while being loving and patient with myself. I deserve that. Like, how does that feel when you replace it with that? You know?
Well, and as you're talking, I'm sitting here thinking, think of one of your children or a close friend or somebody that you love, and they sit there and they say, oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. I can't believe I did that. What is your response to them?
You're like, no, you're not.
You're not
You
like,
want to correct
you
it.
are dumb. That is ridiculous that you did that. It's like, no, we're there to say, no, you're not dumb. Maybe you went a harder direction and there's another way that's easier, or maybe you can just, but you can do this. You can definitely do this. You can master this. I'm going to support you. It's like, if we gave ourselves the support that we're willing to give everybody else, it would move mountains, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's a great
it's so
point.
easy to give it out. We're so easy to forgive others. We're so hard to let it go when we've made mistakes. And so if you can kind of put it, if it's easier for you to look at it that way, look at it that way.
Right. Like if you're struggling to come up with a more positive, more productive thought, that's a great thing to ask yourself. Like, okay, what would I say if this were my friend?
Right.
Then borrow that and say that to yourself. But the thoughts you have about yourself and your ability to do and accomplish what you want is paramount to your success. You can have the most perfect plan laid out. You can have everything, the doing, the knowledge, everything in place. If you do not believe you are worthy or capable or that you can accomplish it, then it is going to be the thing that sabotages you. Right. And then we
Right.
label that thing as like, well, sugar or food or cravings. And we just say, that's why I can't. No, it's because I don't even see myself as someone as capable of being successful. That's
Right.
like the core thing going on. So we wanted to hop on today and talk about that, because we know that many of you are in this place, and you might still kind of be riding that high of like, yes, this time it is going to be different. But understand that until these things are looked at and healed and changed, there will be that moment those limiting beliefs are going to creep back in. And we want you guys to be aware and armed and prepared to know how to answer that. And it's something you have to persist with. Your mind is going to say it over and over. That's why you want to be aware and keep redirecting, being like, no, this time's going to be different, because I'm going to be patient with myself, and I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm going to be loving on this journey. I'm not going to beat myself down every time I make a mistake. Then you're going to keep building on that and watch your behaviors change. Watch yourself be more consistent with the very things you're wanting to do.
Yeah. And like everything, the more often you do it, the easier it gets.
Yes.
So you'll find that things will happen where you maybe had this dialogue go through your head again, where you're like, actually, we get a lot of testimonials from our clients, and a lot of them say, gone is the guilt. I can move forward. When I fall back, or I normally would have really criticized myself.
Yes.
Now it's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Onward and upward.
You're so right. Almost every testimonial speaks
Every one
to
of them.
how their own inner concept and language has completely changed. And because of that, they have also
Can move
changed their
forward.
behaviors and shed the weight. So
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. We had one gal tell us, before I ever lost a pound, I lost 10 pounds of guilt. And to me, that was like the best.
it's huge. It's huge. I just don't think we understand how much self-loathing and guilt is what sponsors. It's the energy that sponsors us so much. And it's very defeating. And we don't want to deal with it. And that's why we kind of turn off and say, forget it. And so when we can correct that, and our foundational feeling about ourselves is a sense of just like love and self-care and worthiness, and the guilt is gone, it changes. That is what sponsors the changes you're wanting to make. It's huge, and it's necessary for lasting change. So keep this in mind. Those of you who are out there, really pursuing making these changes, we're here to support you. And we know that this mindset shift is going to really help you. So tell us how it's going.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Take care.